Now to create our randomly generated bars that are going to be traveling across the screen, we'll start by resizing the bottom bar and the top bar. I'm just going to go under width here, change it to 50 pixels wide by 300 pixels high, and I'll do the same for the top bar. 50 wide by 300 tall. Hit my tab key to enter that. And I notice I made a bit of a mistake here with this particular actor. It should have been called spawner and not high score. So I'm just going to go in and make that correction right now, because we're going to need the spawner for this next set of steps. So again, I've changed high score to spawner, and spawner is going to be basically the little engine that generates the bars and also addresses the random positioning of the gap in between the two bars that we're going to try to move our little player through. Okay, so let's start by going into spawner. We're going to basically generate a set of bars every 6 seconds. So let's go down the timer. And we'll drag that in there. And I'll just change that to every 6 seconds. And inside of there, we're going to go change attribute. And this is going to be our random number generator. And we're going to register that inside of the attribute called top bar y. So let's go change attribute, game, top bar y, to, and here you can either go down to the expressions or you can type it in. I'm just going to type in random, and then it's parentheses, open, close, and I'll go in between them and you establish the parameters. So I'm going to say from 300 comma to 450, which means it will randomly generate a number between 300 and 450 and drop that number inside of the attribute called top bar y. So let's just click check for that. And now based on that, we will spawn a couple of actors, the top bar and the bottom bar. So let's go down to spawn actor, and we'll drag that in just below here. Actor, top bar, position, we're going to start them just off screen to the right, 600 pixels over. And under the X coordinate, just drag that over here, we'll go to game, top bar Y, and click check. Again, this is going to be that random number that gets generated. And then the second one, we can just copy this, option click and drag, and we'll change top bar to bottom bar. And what we need to do is just modify the X axis to say that random number minus 400. So that's going to leave a gap of 400 pixels. Click check, and I will save that right now. Now once I drag that onto the stage, I should see that manifest itself. So let's go back here. Of course I'm going to drag it outside of the visibility area, but nonetheless let's just drag it down here. And it's going to be covered by the ground at one point, but we'll just leave it down in the corner there. I could also set its visibility to 0, but for now let's just give this a preview. Now they won't start till 6 seconds. You know what I forgot to do? Let me just pause this. They are there, believe it or not. You can't see them, but I haven't attributed any movement to them yet. So let's go back here. I'll double click on bottom bar to start, and we'll just create a move to. We'll add a behavior move to. And we'll just establish the position to be off screen to the left. So it'll be minus 50 since the bar is 50 pixels wide. And for the Y axis, we'll just choose bottom bar, position, Y. Click check. And we'll slow the speed right down to about 50. And I'm going to copy this behavior. And we'll paste it on the other bar. Paste. You do need to click in the area for it to paste. I'll just give this a quick save and we'll give it a try. So we'll probably, well not probably, we'll have to wait 6 seconds to see the first set of bars generate. So I'll just click here to keep this up in the air for now. Okay, and there they are. So that gap is randomly generated. So you can see it can be subtly different or radically different. Now there's no consequence right now for hitting the ground or hitting the bars. So even if I don't quite get it through, at least I can see that that's working for me. So we've got our jumper and now we've got our randomly set gaps being generated every 6 seconds. Okay, so let's take the next step now. So we'll deal with the collisions now, basically the consequence. If you hit the top bar or the bottom bar or the ground, which I'm going to put in now, there will be a consequence, which is the game is over. So let me just go back here. And I think I'll move this guy a little bit off the stage. There we go. So now it'll be invisible. And we'll grab the ground and I'll just start by plunking it down here and just kind of eyeballing it a bit. And now I'll double click on it and we'll change the size, the height to 60. The width I can leave the same, I guess. Position, I'm going to put the Y at 0, which means it'll be 30 above and 30 below that line, as you can see here. So that's the ground now. So there will also be a consequence for hitting the ground. Now let's go back to the player. And we'll add a new rule inside of the main rule to deal with that. So let's go down to rule here. Grab that. Okay, so there will be 3 different conditions. And we'll say when any of the conditions are valid, actor receives event overlap or collides with actor top bar, and we'll add another one, overlaps or collides with actor bottom bar, and then we'll add the third one for the ground, actor overlaps or collides with ground. When any of these events occurs, we'll end the game. So let's add change behavior, or rather change attribute. And we have an attribute that's recording whether the game is true or false. So let's go here, game over to true. Hit my enter key. Let's just save that. And now we'll actually create the rule that technically will end the game. What it will do is it'll disengage the player and it'll drop quite quickly to the ground and won't move anymore. So let's just create a rule for that. And we'll just go to attribute, game, game over. If game over is true, we'll just choose the move to and drag it in here. We'll just position the player 100 pixels from the left to be consistent, and 30 pixels from the ground, from the bottom, which will sit on top of that piece called ground. And we'll just speed it up a bit more so it drops with a bit more weight almost. And let's just save that and we'll give that a try. Okay, so I will bounce it up and down here. I'll wait for the first set of bars to come across and I'll hit one on purpose. And it should just drop like a rock when it hits. Boom. And if I click, it no longer reacts to my clicking. So the game is basically over. Okay, so let's just go back here. And did I save? I'll just save it to make sure. And that's the basics of creating the Flappy Birds game. We're going to take this a step further, a couple of steps further, but that's the fundamentals of how the game actually operates.